McKinsey Company. The name whispers prestige, a beacon of excellence in the consulting world. They are the elite consultants, the supposed geniuses hired to solve the toughest business problems. With their sharp suits and sharper minds, they dissect complex issues and offer solutions that promise transformation. CEOs eagerly seek their advice, believing that McKinsey's insights will lead them to success. The handshake with a McKinsey consultant is seen as a seal of approval. Companies pay enormous fees for their recommendations, often running into millions of dollars. These fees are justified by the promise of increased efficiency and profitability. McKinsey's alumni populate the upper echelons of the corporate world. Their network is vast, and their influence is profound, shaping decisions at the highest levels. They are seen as the best and the brightest, their analyses unquestioned. Their data-driven approach and polished presentations make them seem infallible. But behind the polished facade lurks a darker side. Questions arise about the true impact of their advice and the ethical implications of their strategies. McKinsey's influence extends far beyond individual companies. Their reach is global, affecting multinational corporations and shaping international markets. Their advice shapes entire industries and national economies. The ripple effects of their recommendations can be felt across sectors, influencing economic policies and growth trajectories. Governments hire them for policy recommendations, trusting their expertise to guide national strategies. Their counsel can determine the direction of public policy and national priorities. This power makes their track record even more critical to examine. The stakes are high, and the consequences of their advice can be far-reaching. Are they truly delivering the promised value? Do their solutions lead to sustainable success, or are they merely quick fixes? Or are their solutions often more damaging than they seem? The debate continues, as the true impact of McKinsey's influence remains a topic of intense scrutiny. McKinsey's approach often centers around optimization. This can involve streamlining operations, cutting costs, and boosting profits. The idea is to make every part of the business run like a well-oiled machine. Sounds good on paper, right? Executives love the idea of increased efficiency and higher profit margins. But in practice, this often translates to layoffs, outsourcing, and a reduction in workforce. Employees are expected to do more with less, leading to increased stress and burnout. The human cost of this optimization is rarely factored into McKinsey's equations. Employee morale often plummets as a result. Their recommendations frequently prioritize short-term gains over long-term sustainability. This can create a toxic work environment. Companies are urged to maximize shareholder value, celebrating rising stock prices, even if it means sacrificing employee well-being or ethical considerations. This often leads to protests and dissatisfaction among the workforce. This ruthless pursuit of profit has tangible consequences, including job losses and community impact, both for workers and for the companies themselves. In the end, the cost of optimization can be far greater than anticipated. Time and again, McKinsey's advice has backfired spectacularly. Their recommendations have been linked to corporate scandals, environmental disasters, and economic crises. For example, their work with Enron played a role in the energy giant's collapse, costing thousands of jobs and shaking investor confidence. More recently, McKinsey has faced scrutiny for its work with opioid manufacturers, authoritarian regimes, and fossil fuel companies. Their involvement in these controversies raises serious questions about their ethical compass and the real-world impact of their work. The pro-executive bias baked into McKinsey's approach is undeniable. Their recommendations often benefit top executives and shareholders at the expense of everyone else. Layoffs boost stock prices in the short term, but leave workers struggling. Outsourcing may increase profits, but it hollows out communities and exacerbates inequality. This disregard for the well-being of workers has far-reaching consequences. It contributes to growing income inequality, erodes public trust in corporations, and fuels social unrest. When companies prioritize profits over people, everyone loses in the long run. McKinsey's influence is undeniable. For decades, they have been the go-to consultants for major corporations and governments around the world. Their strategies and recommendations have shaped industries and economies, making them a powerful force in the business world. But it's time to start questioning the wisdom of their counsel. Are their strategies truly in the best interest of everyone? Or do they primarily serve the elite few? Their track record of disasters and their pro-executive bias should give us pause. From financial crises to corporate scandals, the fallout from their advice has often been severe. We need to look beyond the balance sheet and consider the broader impact of their recommendations. How do their strategies affect the environment, local communities, and the overall well-being of society? The pursuit of profit cannot come at the expense of people and the planet. We must prioritize sustainable and ethical practices that ensure long-term prosperity for all. It's time to demand more ethical and sustainable business practices, ones that value transparency, accountability, and the greater good, even if it means challenging the advice of the so-called smartest guys in the room. We must be willing to question and push back against the status quo. The future of our economy and our society depends on it. By embracing a more holistic approach, we can build a better, more equitable world for future generations.